Got it.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to Earth and Body Ecosystems,
where we explore bridging the gap between our bodies and the earth surrounding us.
Remember to like, comment, and subscribe. Joyce can be found at majesticterror.com or heavenlybodiesorganicskincare.com. Can be found under construction at wanderingwildwoman.com. Our podcasts go out to all podcast platforms, and we also put it up on our own personal YouTube, which mine is Wandering Wild Woman and Joyce is Natural Bliss Podcast. Joyce will introduce us to our guest. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Today we have with us Melinda Van Fleet. She is a confidence and peak performance coach, international best-selling author, speaker, and podcast host who works with businesswomen to develop confidence to believe in themselves, take action, and get results. She is known as the Good Karma Coach. Her podcasts include the Good Karma Success Coach and Confident Conversations. Utilizing her 25 plus years of experience building businesses and her passion for working with women, Melinda teaches real life tools they can use to stop the daily struggle, build their confidence, increase productivity, and achieve the success they desire. Melinda's first book, Confidence Mastery for Couples, Roadmap to a More Intimate Relationship, is available on Amazon. Her second book, Life and Love Lessons, How to Discover Confidence Through Your Spiritual Journey, is being released within a matter of days. Welcome to the show, Melinda. How are you?
I'm awesome. Thank you both for having me. This will be super fun. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
So tell us a little bit about how you got started doing what you do right now, because you actually have a very interesting story.
Yeah, so I have a very vast business background and 16 years in the corporate world. And my husband and I were laid off at the same time in 2009. And we both lost our jobs. We had nothing, but we had manifested moving somewhere where it never, ever snows. So my husband was suffering from depression when we were in the corporate world. He worked in production supervisor as a plant manager, and we both lived in Minnesota. And he hated it. He was miserable. And we would lie on the bed at night just as a way for me to help him through depression. And I would play the sound machine and talk to him about what it would be like if we moved somewhere where it never snowed, and what it would be like for him to do his dream job, which was to become a charter boat fishing captain. And I just would constantly do this whole visualization exercise with him. And I had no idea what I was doing. I was just like trying to help him, because if you remember, like 2009, this was kind of before, the internet and all the, coaching that has come out and courses about manifestation and law of attraction. I was just trying to help him intuitively, and definitely helped. But the bigger help was when God stepped in, the universe, however you want to put it, and we both got laid off. And so then we were like, okay, well, now what do we do? So we had only been married about a year and a half. We'd been together about 2.5 years. And so we were not prepared. And we just through advice of, a family member and a friend, they were like, you both are super hard workers. Why don't you just move to Florida and figure it out? And so we did. We packed our bags, and we'd never even been here. We had hardly any money. We didn't know anyone. We didn't have any jobs, but we came down to South Florida, ended up settling in the Florida Keys, and rolled up our sleeves. And through just hard work and a lot of belief and knowing, we figured it out. So my husband is now an extremely successful charter boat fishing captain, and we created a brand called Good Karma Sport Fishing. And he's all over the web. He has courses, he has a private group, he's booked every day. So you can make it happen. And all along in the beginning, I would say, you know, someday when we get our shit together, we are going to help others. So a couple of years ago, I decided to finally get into coaching and writing and speaking so I could share our story and hopefully inspire some other people that even if it seems like really crappy and you do not know how things are going to happen, they can happen, and you can figure it out along the way. So we are just living proof that you can make your dreams come true. It's amazing.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So now I'm on my second book, which is crazy. And I have to show you, I just got my author copy yesterday. So
Yay!
Yeah. Cool.
For Heidi and Joyce's podcast, I got my author copy. So yeah, so
Nice.
we're rocking and rolling and getting ready to officially release on July 28th. But if anyone's been an author before or been involved in a co-authored book series, you kind of know that you just kind of, the pieces kind of come together with Amazon, and before you know it, everything's live. So it's kind of a fun process to be part of.
So can you tell us a little bit about the overall picture of the book and what it's about?
Yeah, totally. So I have been a student for many, many years, and often not even realizing it. So it started, you know, when I was a kid, I did the Ouija board with my grandma. And then I was really into tarot card readings, and just, you know, little by little, I would, you know, meet with a spiritual teacher or have something happen to me. And so all these events, I believe, have really shaped my life and helped me build confidence and, you know, have direction, have clarity, have validation, you know, all these things. And often we don't even recognize that that's going on, right? So over the years, I've just been compiling stories upon stories, and some are crazy stories and some are miracles. Like, you're just like, what? How did that even happen? And so it's just been in my blood and in my soul to document it all to date and put it out there to the world so other people can not only maybe have some of their own aha moments where they're like, oh yeah, I had something similar happen. Oh, I get it. That was my intuition, right? Or if someone struggles with, you know, letting things go, you know, and just letting things like happen as they should happen. You know, there's stories about that. There's definitely stories about different you know, modalities. Even I talk about Kabbalah as being kind of like an entryway for me. I talk about human design. Definitely lots of tarot card stories because I love cards. And I've definitely come to, you know, pick up on that myself. So I've just really embraced and then encompassed all of these different little, you know, I call it being in the blender. You know, I use a little bit from there, a little bit from there, a little bit there, and then how that just really can combine together if you know, start to go, oh, and do the math on all of this and really start to transform your life. So there's just so many examples. So the book is really, I would say, very different than any book I've ever read, and isn't just the typical manifestation law of attraction books. It's actually the stories that will hopefully make you, again, like I said earlier, go, oh, I get it. Or, oh, I could try this too. Or I can change my mindset this way. You know, there's just little tweaks that we all can do, you know, every day that help us get to, you know, just living our best lives and being our best selves. So it was really fun to write. It was a lot of memory lane stories and even stories my husband had never heard. So there's a few of those, but he was glad that this book is not about him. So he was glad about that. But yeah,
so
it was a fun book to write.
Tell us about the cover of the book. Where did that come from?
Yeah, so the cover of the book, I had some images on my bulletin board for years and years and years. And I had given it to the cover company that I use that also does the formatting. It's a really great company. I think it's called 100 Covers. And I gave it to them, and then I gave them like just some other pieces of inspiration. And they came back with 2 cover designs. And the fun thing that I've done for both of my books is posted the cover options on Facebook and Instagram too, and have people take a poll, and then I truly go with what the majority says. So I did go with this cover with the larger butterfly, and so many people love butterflies, including myself, because butterflies are transformation, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's just, they're beautiful, and so much symbolism.
Mhm.
And if you really sit and think about it, when the caterpillars, they're in the cocoon, and they have to stay in the cocoon, and they're developing, and they're going through the whole process, and then they emerge as this new beautiful butterfly. And I feel that that's really symbolic of myself, and then hopefully it has some symbolism for anyone that decides to read the book too, that they'll kind of get it. So yeah.
So it sounds like the book is not necessarily like how to, like in like, descript, do this step, do, but it's more like a journey through your life and your stories, and how you learn to manifest and become who you are. And so
Yes,
that,
yes. Yeah. There's maybe a couple places where there's a little bit of a step, but not. My first book was a little bit more of a how-to, and this is definitely, you're gonna intuitively, when you read, like understand and get the vibe and the messaging from just kind of listening to my stories. So yeah.
What was your favorite chapter to write?
Oh, so I guess that's a great question. Probably my whole tarot card journey story in relation to the relationship I had before my husband. And probably one of the reasons why is there's so many like weaved details in there, and it takes place over a course of time, and so many miracles. And one involving my brother, who's an angel for me. He passed away, and I really, except for people that knew me back then and knew the story, if I shared it with them, I really didn't share it with that many people, because at the time it was actually a lot of shame and embarrassment. And so the fact that I documented it all in this book, and it's one of the longer chapters, and I'm sharing it with the world, is probably makes it my favorite, just for, building my own confidence of sharing something that, was a really, really crazy time for me over a period of years. So I'd say that in terms of just, because it's a growth chapter, a big growth chapter, for sure. But great question.
yes.
So
And also we were wondering about discovering Kabbalah.
Yes.
oh
I
yes.
find that very fast. At least I find it very fascinating.
Yeah.
Ditto.
Have you both done any work with Kabbalah? Have you?
Nope, I haven't.
Nope. Okay.
Just know in general what it is a little bit. So I haven't delved in at all.
Yeah. I didn't want to say something when you might have a lot of experience in it, maybe more than me even. I discovered Kabbalah through my very good friend Terry. When I moved to South Florida, I met her at a trade show. We were both sales reps at the same time, and she lived in a town where there's a Kabbalah center in South Florida, in Boca Raton. And she and I became friends, and she's not Jewish, she's Catholic. And so it all just kind of piqued my interest, because as I talk a little bit about in the book, I don't consider myself religious, even though I did go to church as a child. And so I had walked away from all of that. So I was like, this Kabbalah thing is kind of interesting. And so she would share with me, and, I really realized it was just like this amazing, eye-opening personal transformation type of modality of a spiritual presence out there, that it wasn't a religion. So
Right.
that was a learning for me. And when I realized it's, a lot of conversation about, ego, I had never heard the term ego before. So that opened my eyes to some transformation, and that, there's a lot of discussion too about money, and money is energy and money is good. So that was like a huge mindset shift, because I grew up with a lot of limiting beliefs, just like everybody else, pretty much, right?
Right.
From their parents, that, money doesn't grow on trees. I've heard it all. I've been there, my mom and dad used to, primarily my mom, tell me every time, we'd pass a boat, she'd be like, keep dreaming, kid. People waste their money on boats. You're never going to have a boat. That's stupid. That's a waste of money. Well, now I have a business with a boat, right? So, so it's just, Kabbalah just really started that whole process for me of like, wow, there's a whole other, mindset
Mhm.
out there that's positive, that is welcoming, that isn't judgmental. And it just really started that whole transformational journey for me. And it's it's love, Kabbalah, it's a very loving type, the environment, the people, the teachings, everything kind of is in that bucket. And so it just really appealed to me, and again, opened my eyes, and I bought, CDs, because back then, it was CDs
Right.
that you played in your car, right?
Mhm.
Versus listening, on Audible. Audible didn't exist. And so I bought like all the CDs, and I think I spent like $100, which to me was like a lot. So I was like, oh my gosh, I spent $100 on all these CDs, but it just really kind of started the whole process. So I felt that having a chapter dedicated to Kabbalah, and I mentioned the Bergs, which, have the Kabbalah centers, and, just really sharing a lot of information. So if someone is interested in exploring some of these different tools and teachings out there, that they can then take it that step further than what I've, shared in one chapter. Just kind of opens the door for them too.
Can we talk about reconnecting to the higher self?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Heidi, is there something that you wanted to ask her about the Kabbalah?
Well, yeah, I was just going to iterate that there's connection between the Kabbalah Hebrew letters and the tarot. So that,
Oh, interesting.
and it sounds like, since you know the tarot and I know the tarot, that you really went on the fool's journey. You really leaped off the cliff when you moved to Florida. I mean, I can't think of, a better something I'm looking for, similarity in that fool's journey or the hero's journey. It's a hero's journey, or the soul's journey is when you totally abandoning everything you've ever known, and you take that leap of faith and you jump right in, and you just say, I'm not going to sink, I'm going to swim, and I'm going to get this done. So I think that's amazing. Now, Joyce, go ahead.
Yeah.
That was awesome, Heidi.
Yeah, I'm going to add on really quick to what Heidi just said, because I probably too, I wish I would have had, recorded on my phone at the time when I met with the tarot card reader before we moved, but I probably had the Tower card.
No doubt.
Probably had, she might have been like, oh, you got all that. So, yeah, because that was part of it. But yeah, so Joyce, you were asking. Sorry.
Reconnecting with your higher self.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that has been a huge piece of my journey, and I kind of layer in a lot of different little different nuggets and stories. And one, for example, that I can think of that I talk about in the book is I've been really tough on myself as I've been creating content, in terms of comparing myself, and even bigger than that, judging myself, right? So as I've gotten into this space of speaking online and doing Facebook Lives, and I've been a podcaster now for 2.5 years, I would judge myself Like I'd go back and listen to the podcast and be like, oh, I sound stupid, or oh, I can't believe I said that, or I didn't mean to say that. And then that came out, right? So I would have all these like mind loops and triggers, and then I would bring the energy of what I was saying down, which is not good, right? So I was doing damage, I'm just gonna put it like that, to myself and what I was putting out there to the world. So there's a story in the book where I was trying to do a Facebook Live and slow down my speaking a little bit because I am a fast talker. And I had asked my husband, what do you think of, my video? And he was like, oh, it's really good. You spoke a little slower. And so he was positive, he was fine, but I still was judging myself because something, as I was telling the story, segued. So I have a habit of like segueing, right? Like, because I don't script anything. So everything comes through me and then like another thought will pop up. And I got like really discouraged with myself that I didn't kind of stick to what I had planned. And I ended up sharing with some fellow intuitives and my spiritual teacher, Deborah Lupian, the experience. And they were like, you did great. Like, this is what's coming through you. Don't try to close your channel. Like, just talk. And they were being very encouraging. They were like, you don't talk too fast. People have limited time now. They listen to things on faster speed. So it's actually probably good that you're, a faster talker. So that was really nice, but I was still beating myself up. So I went to meditate and I just, took some deep breaths and really got into the zone. I've been meditating very seriously for 3 years. Now I meditate 2 times a day, sometimes 3. And,
Wow.
This voice just came to me and it was like, this is not for you, Melinda. It's for others. And that's your higher self. That's your higher self when, a voice comes through and, kind of, sets you straight. And I started to cry and I was like, thank you. And it really just changed, I stopped it. Like I stopped, judging myself in that way. Of course, I want to improve and do better, right? But the harsh judgment that would bring down the energy of what I'm trying to get across to people is what shifted. So it's really realizing, taking out the ego and realizing, what you're here on this earth for in this human lifetime. And, being your best self, the best version of yourself as you move through your day and connect with others and share and serve. And letting go of the, oh, I look terrible and this and that, because that's like your ego and that's not your higher self, really giving you the power and the confidence to do what you're supposed to be doing. So there's a lot of like weave stories in there. And I think that once you start to have that journey and have that awareness, it becomes more natural or easier for you. But I do believe that a lot of people are on that journey right now, which is really exciting as, more light workers, if you want to say, are being, called, and people are really waking up to, their own spiritual intuition and gifts that everyone has. And I think that it's just a really great thing for people to really start understanding. And it also takes the pressure off. So,
Right.
and don't we all want less pressure? I want less pressure. So it's a kind of nice too. So I hope that sheds a little light on your question, Joyce.
Thank you.
So you also talk about human design in your book. And I thought maybe you could go into that a little bit.
Yeah. Have you guys pulled your charts for human design?
I've done it before, but it kind of is above me. I understand the concept and I understand that there's base patterns, that everybody has. But I haven't really got into it too much. So
yeah, I hear you.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
What is
it can be overwhelming. So so don't feel bad. and I'm not an expert. It's on my to-do list to become more of an expert. but I do love it. And I highly recommend for everyone to pull your chart. I have 3 podcasts on Good Karma Success Coach that people can listen to if you want to kind of get a little bit more information than this, but it's free online to pull your charts. And I want to say it's humandesignorg.com, something like that is a really good chart. I've pulled a couple, but the one I talk about the most is the best. And it's one I do mention in the book too. So basically what it is a modality spiritual tool. Yeah. That was downloaded to a gentleman named Robert Crack. I'm going to mess up his name, but now he goes by Ra-Uru-Hu. So when you go online, you can see quotes from him, and it was in 1987. So not that long ago. And since it was downloaded from the divine, and it's basically a system, I guess you could say, like an assessment. And it combines everything from astrology to Kabbalah. Like it combines
the I Ching, I've heard.
Yes, yeah, the I Ching. I just got a book on I Ching I have on my list to read. And it combines like about 4 or 5, right, Heidi? Yeah. About 4 or 5 different assessments and tools. And you get bucketed, that's the best way I can put it, into 5. There's 5 different design types. And so that's like easy step 1. You can read about your design type. I'm a generator. Do you remember what yours was at all, Heidi?
I think it was a shy one. I can't remember exactly what it was.
Like the projector,
projector, yeah.
Projector. My sister's a projector.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So even on the number one thing that's the easiest to do, it was even eye-opening for me. So a generator, to use myself as an example, is someone that has just a lot of energy, right? And I can just go. I don't need a nap. I don't need much sleep. I'm high energy. And that was eye-opening to begin with, because I'm 50 years old and I can still wake up in the morning and go. I don't need coffee. Like I don't need time. I'm like running from the second. So when you learn that, that's just how I'm wired from the universe, is like eye-opening to begin with. My husband's manifesting generator, which means that he's really good at manifesting and he has high energy. However, he needs to take a nap, and he takes a nap. So it's just like, oh my gosh, he takes a nap. How funny that that's actually like in the profile. And a projector is someone who, my sister's a projector, needs a little more time. Like they're good with working like 4 to 5 hours a day, and then they're done. And so when you start to dig into something like human design, even on the top side thing like that, number one, it makes you feel better. Like, okay, there's nothing wrong with me that I want to take a nap, right? And also too, you get to know your partner or your family members or coworkers, because let's say I was judging you, Heidi, that you couldn't keep up with me, right? Let's say, and being like, oh gosh, we're on vacation together and she can't, keep going. Like, what's wrong with her? We need to go to another museum. And it's just how you are. And there's nothing wrong with that. We're all amazing, beautiful people. And so it just sheds this like little light of, awareness on that we're all different. And then the next thing after that is you get assigned numbers. So I'm a 3-5.
Oh, and yes, right.
Be like a 1-6, they don't go super high. I think it's just 6. So like a 3-6, it's different combos. And so I'm a 3-5, which means the 3 for me is that all my lessons are stories to help others, which is what I do. So it's like hilarious. And 5 is a teacher and a communicator type. So I'm doing now what my design is. And there's actually more correlation with your numbers in terms of like people that might bond a little bit than your actual design type, it's been said. So one of my spiritual teachers told me about human design last fall. And then since I podcasted about it, I connected with a human design advisor expert. I call her an expert. She calls herself an advisor, and she has helped me further along the journey as well. Plus there's, books out there that you can read. You can go online. There's lots of free information, but then you can dig into channels and gates, and those are fascinating, but that goes more into probably what, most people would say is a little overwhelming. and it's a little more overwhelming. So there you kind of need help. You need someone who is really fluid with it and can look at the gates. My friend Anne, she looked at my gates and she overlaid them with my niece's gates. And she was like, oh, you and your niece have a connection. And we do. We have like this connection with spirituality and talking to each other. And she's only 15 and she's an old soul. So it's really fascinating when you dig deeper. But that's like, a whole other conversation. But basically too, just to circle back, if anyone's like still a little curious, all you need when you go online to one of these websites is your birth date, the time of birth, and where you were born. So it's really fascinating that all this information can come from that. And I'd asked my friend Anne before, I said, she's been, helping others with this. I said, has anything ever come back wrong? Because everything you've told me about myself, my husband, my sister, my nieces has been like spot on the money. She was never once. Every client of hers has always been in agreement with whatever she can see in the charts. It's just fascinating. So
my daughter has a hard time with like that, and even figuring out like when Heidi would probably know this, like in astrology, when you're trying to figure out where your moons are and whatnot. The astrological chart, is that what it's called, Heidi?
Yeah, well, that's very similar. It's the same information for the astrological and human design. You need the same information too.
Well, apparently when my daughter was born, they stopped putting the time of birth on the birth certificates. Like on my birth certificate, it has the time I was born, but my daughter, it's not on her birth certificate. Wow. So it's like I had a baby book for her and I had written down a time, and she had a friend, Heidi, Kara, who did tarot. Yeah. And Kara did the astrological chart, and Kara was always like, there's no way that your moon is like somewhere. She's like, you're definitely, I see you as being this. So my daughter was always asking me, are you sure that's what time I was born? I'm like, well, I wrote it down. So I guess, I don't know. Probably had mommy brain at the time.
Maybe she should look into human design, because it sounds like with Melinda's experience, that's been very much spot on. And astrology can be,
but she doesn't have her time of birth. Oh, I go by using the one we have. You said,
right.
Right. Yeah, that's a good idea.
Do you have any questions for Melinda, Joyce?
No, I did want to. The chapter 9. Why can't they? Yeah. What is that all about?
Let's see if I can read a little part. So why can't they is more about like letting things go. And I'll actually read the quote that I have in the beginning. Let's see if I can read without my glasses. In the end, only 3 things matter: how much you loved, how gently you lived, and how gracefully you let go of things not meant for you. Buddha. So this chapter is about relationships and just, recognizing you can't change people, and we're all on different journey, and we all have, different soul paths. I don't know. Have you ever had soul readings done? I've had 2 different types of soul.
I haven't. Heidi, have you?
No, I haven't.
Okay. Yeah, it's fascinating. So I have 2 spiritual friends who are both soul readers, and they do it as part of their practice. And one does it from the aspect of the Akashic records, and one does it like with a whole other system and plan. So they're both very different and both fabulous. And I mentioned both of them in the book. And, often we get frustrated with people in this world, and we're like, "Oh, why can't they just do that?" Or why did they do that? We ask all these questions and people trigger us, and mind loops happen, and frustration and energy. And, when you start to just realize, like, it's just not their path, it's just, all these things kind of go together, right? So you can think of it, if you know their human design, you can think of it, if you have done, readings or know them in other ways, but one is their soul path. Like, it just might not be their path in life to be, a straight A student. Maybe it's a child of yours and you're frustrated with them and how they are with school. Maybe it's just not their path. Maybe they're not meant to go to college. Maybe their path is to take like a trade job. So giving people grace for where they are and for themselves, and not, having expectations of them in your relationships is so important. And again, it's freeing. It's really freeing if you can, as you're sitting there judging someone or being frustrated or angry, just be like, it's just, we're on different paths. We are different souls. We are on different paths, and that's okay. That's okay. I'm just going to focus on myself and not worry about why they can or can't do something. Like, I'm just going to sit and focus on myself. One of my very, very favorite sayings that I use a lot is see yourself as others. So that's, a piece of it too. So if you just take a moment, take some deep breaths and just be like, they're just not in that place, or they're never going to be, and that's okay. Or maybe they're in a different place than you, whatever it is, just recognizing that they're on a different path in this lifetime. And, they're not going to maybe do what you want them to do or behave as you want them to behave. It's just, it is what it is. And the more you can just let that go, it'll just make you feel so much better. And we all just want to feel good, right? We all want to be happy and feel good.
Yes.
So that's just like another aspect of, some transformation that can help you on your path to feeling better every day.
My daughter loves that saying, it is what it is.
Yes,
She
it is what
always
it is.
says that. It is what it is. But, that what you were saying, that is very freeing, because not only do you feel better, you don't feel stressed, you don't feel frustrated, and you're not lowering your vibrational frequency.
Mm-hmm. And if this is what's so crazy about our lives, right? If you realize that keeping our vibrational frequency at a good place, or even like a medium place, like just steadying along instead of being like all these magical things will happen for you faster. Like, why don't we do that? Like, it's really as simple as that. But we don't. Like, our humanness gets in the way, society, social media, driving down the street, traffic, whatever. It's just
programming.
It's
the
like,
way we've been programmed since we were children.
Yeah.
Yes, totally. It's like, okay, like, how can we rewire a lot of that as we have, obviously, matured, and there's so much great information out there that we can, do a lot of rewiring. I mean, it really is changing that programming, Heidi, to use your word. Totally.
Mm-hmm.
As my youngest son and I had a conversation as to whether or not we could choose to be happy. And I think we can. I think happiness is a choice. That's a mindset. I mean, there's times like if there's a loss where somebody passes away and you mourn, that's a natural process, but when you're experiencing, like, I kind of woke up this morning kind of like in a funk, and I'm going, why do I feel like this? And I'm going, no, I'm not going to be in a funk. I'm going to choose to be happy. That's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. But, kudos to you, Joyce, that you had the awareness, because that's step one, is having the awareness, because that's what most people don't do. They don't take a second to have the awareness. They keep going on autopilot. And then before you know it, their whole day is gone and they've been in a funk all day. And why? But, and I know there's a lot of conversation out there about, positivity, and also to what you said, if you are sad, take time to be sad, but then you have to
Right.
figure out how to move through it, because your higher self doesn't want you to be sad. Like, you're a happy being. So you have to kind of figure it out. I was listening to a talk that Oprah gave. It was the Stanford graduation talk. I was reading a book that said to listen to this talk. And so I listened to the talk. And she was sharing that when her school, when that all came to light about the sexual abuse that was going on at her school, that she sobbed for a half an hour. She just sobbed for a half an hour. And then she was like, I got to fix this. I got to help these girls. I've got to move forward. And that's what you have to do. You have to take some time to figure out what was going on that either made you sad or frustrated. And then, be able to choose to what you're saying, Joyce, and move forward and get back into, a better alignment. And we all have that choice. We truly do. Did your son not agree? Did your son say no?
No, he didn't agree.
Well, he needs to watch our podcast.
Yeah.
No, he disagrees with a lot of things that I feel and say, and the majority of our conversations land up with those button heads. But we have been able to have some great conversations. He's a very analytical person, and once again, it's just that I have to accept this is who he is. And I told him during our conversations where our heads are buttoned, I said, you know what, we need to just agree to disagree. I'm not going to change my mind. You're not going to change your mind. So why keep having this conversation going back and forth? It's not getting anywhere.
Yeah. And you're completely correct and very smart for taking that path. And again, that might be his soul's path in this lifetime. Or in 5 years, he might have an epiphany and something might happen and he'll be like, hey, Mom, you were right. So, who knows, right? But you should pull his human design chart and see what it says.
I don't think I have his time of birth at all.
Oh, okay.
I don't even think I wrote it down in his baby book. I'll have to look. I have 2 other sons, and I haven't looked at their birth certificates or in their baby books to see if I wrote the time down. Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, I did with Brittany, and she came and asked me about it. So.
Yeah. That's really amazing that it's not on the birth certificates anymore. But my sister had it for my nieces, and they're 15 and 12. So maybe it varies by state or something. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, maybe, because my daughter just turned 30.
Yeah.
And my youngest is going to be 23 this year.
Yeah. I think we have a choice, but I like what you said about sobbing and cry. When we are in that state, sometimes the best thing is to let it go and not hold on to it, because my life experience, I've held on to things for too long. And then what happens is it accumulates and it's not good for my health, or I have an explosion, of emotion, because I've held it in for so long. So definitely, I believe we can choose, but sometimes we just have to let it go. Let it go, so that we can bring that joy and that happiness, and we can choose to have it.
Yeah. And you're right. If you think about, the terrible tragedies that happen out there, is it because someone held their, anger and their emotions for so long that, they just really, they lost it. So yeah.
Literally
lost it. And it, it's amazing that in this world, we don't honor the fact that if someone is having, a bad day and maybe they need to just take a moment for themselves for the day to move through it, we don't have that as a normal practice. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to be confident and strong to be aware of that in yourself. So you do that on your own, but it's not something that we tend to talk about in society, right? We talk about going on vacation, but no one says, hey, I just need to sit home today and just cry it out.
Right. Exactly. That's on. Yeah. And how many times did somebody ask you, how you doing today? And you always say, I'm okay. When maybe you're having the rotten day and you just need a shoulder to cry on, but you hold back because you don't want to bother that person saying it's not going so great, you know?
Totally true. Totally true.
I always tell the truth. If you're going to ask me how I'm doing, I'm going to tell you. If I'm having a shitty day, I'm going to tell you I'm having a shitty day.
I love that.
Or a lot of times I'll just say, could be better, could be worse.
Yeah. Good for you. That's awesome. And I hope you just inspired some other people to do the same. Totally.
Well, and you should, why act like everything's okay when it's not?
Yeah. Yeah.
And Heidi and I are both empaths, and I could pick up vibrations from people and their energy. And I could just, this one woman walked out of the store one day, and we were driving, and she crossed our path. And I told my husband, I said, she's really having a cruddy day. Poor thing.
Yeah.
I could just see it in the way she carried herself, the vibes I was getting up, her facial expression.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the thing with our society too. Our society, we're not as compassionate, loving, and caring as what we should be to other people. The majority of the people in the society, it's all, what about me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about you.
Yeah.
It's just, how am I feeling? How are you making me feel?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, and you're absolutely right. And I write about that a little bit in the book too, in terms of the fact that I believe, we're all on autopilot so much that we do lose that compassion. And I think as humans, our first thoughts are about us, you know what I mean? So I even try to watch how I word things, because I consider myself a compassionate person, but sometimes maybe what I said didn't come out the right way. So it is, there's like a rewiring and a retraining there. And just like an understanding that, take a moment. And it's funny because what I wrote about is in conjunction with, social media, that people post all these quotes and all these memes and all this happy stuff all day long, but, you can feel it. I have empathic, tendencies too. I can feel it. I'm like, yeah, she's really not that happy, but she's posting away. So yeah, I think there's a lot in that, a lot of layers that are really important discussions for people to be having, or internally thinking about and processing, and, breaking down and seeing what they can do better themselves, even if it's just to make themselves feel better. And cut out some of the noise. Yeah.
Well, that's what I was going to say. The person that was posting all this, and you felt like you didn't think they were really happy. Maybe they were doing it to try to make themselves happier.
Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Yeah. That is true too. Absolutely. That is very possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So.
One of your chapters in the book is, I think this kind of segues into celebration and gratitude.
Yes. So again, don't be on autopilot, celebrate. And I think a lot of people, well, let me back up. I came to realize that I just keep going. And I don't take the time to celebrate something. So even little things, like, let's say you're working on building your business and someone signs up for your email, like, take a second to be, oh my gosh, someone signed up for my email list, right? Because we're all, trying to do all these different things out there. You guys might see a new subscriber, or someone watched your video and gave you the thumbs up. All those little things are energy. So making it just a practice. And if you're not someone that does it, it goes back to awareness and making, becoming aware and just taking a minute to celebrate. So my husband has courses, and every time we sell a course, even if it's just a $30 course, we're like, yay, high five, and we have like a little celebration, because that is the energy you want to be putting out there to the universe. So saying thank you for, everything, and also celebrating along the way really helps you, and that can help you, even become happier and more joyful if you just celebrate some of the little things in your life that we might be, just taking for granted. So I am one of those people that finds money all the time, coins, I don't know if you guys find coins everywhere or if you see angel numbers or feathers or anything
Angel
like
numbers.
that. Angel numbers. My nieces see angel numbers. I don't see the numbers, but I find coins. So I kind of feel like it's in the same realm of, the signs you're getting from the universe. And so every time I see, like, I pick up the money. So I do. I don't care. I pick it up. So I find coins everywhere and weird places at weird times. And so I wrote some stories about finding coins, and I wrote about how, one of the times I was with my husband and we were in the parking lot at Ace Hardware, just in the street in the street here, down the road. And we live in a small town in the Keys. It's the smaller key. And so my husband's like, oh God, you're dancing in the parking lot, Melinda, really? Can you just get in the car? And he's like, found a dime. I was like, yeah, I found a dime. And I'm like dancing. And he's like so embarrassed. And then I found this really cool dime that was like melted, melted. And I had asked my guides for some advice that day, some confirmation about something that I was working on. And like 20 minutes later, I found this like really cool dime. It's just like all melty. I don't even know how that like happened. And I love it when I like park my car, and I'm very aware. So I park my car, I don't see anything, just kind of like go in the store. I leave the store and then I see something. I'm like, okay, where did this come from? So that there's magic happening everywhere, because I would have seen it before and there's no other cars around. Where did that funky dime come from? And that was one of those instances that was on the sidewalk, and I'd already walked down that sidewalk, and then when I walked back to my car, it was there. So just celebrating little things like that, whatever things come across your path. And everyone has different things. People see birds, you might celebrate something, even good stuff. I celebrate when my dogs go potty when they should go potty. So
yes, we do.
Yes, right? It's like, oh, thank God you just went potties right away and I don't have to walk you for 5 miles. So yeah, I mean, you can celebrate so much in your day. And even, and I do believe this goes into the happiness choice. And like I said, a lot of these stories are weaved together. It changes your mindset to be happy, to be grateful. I mean, I think it's like scientifically proven that gratitude, changes your whole energy and how you feel. So yeah, so I celebrate a lot of little good stuff.
It's also one of the strongest vibrations that we can send out into the universe. Is
absolutely. Gratitude. Yeah, absolutely. And it's so, isn't it wild how it's just like these basic things like gratitude, breathing, awareness, love. Yeah, it's not like any of us, I'm just saying it like a rocket science, but it's doing it, it's really embodying it and doing the thing to get to that state. So yeah.
I'll have to pay more attention about the coins, because I used to find coins a lot and I haven't really been paying attention. So from now on, I'm definitely going to pay attention.
Yeah, so you'll have to message me when you go outside and find a quarter. You'll be like,
right,
exactly. Yeah, I had a big talk on Monday night for a sales team that I was really excited about, and I prepped for it. I made a deck and all the things, and it's just really, really cool opportunity. And I, prayed. I pulled an oracle card. I got Archangel Haniel, which is for speaking events, and it's just really cool. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And I went outside to walk the dogs. And we live in a duplex. So like there's our driveway and then there's the neighbor's driveway. And I walked the dogs one way, and I walk the dogs 5 times a day. So like I'm always on the street. So I walked the dogs one way and I came back and I found a quarter. I was like, thank you. So yeah, it's just, you'll start seeing your signs, and maybe you'll be like $100 bill. Wouldn't that be cool?
That would be amazing. I would accept that. Yes.
Putting that out there. We're putting that out there.
I would wonder who lost it, but I would be like, No
one's around. You're not stealing. No one's around. You're not stealing.
Right. Exactly.
Well, that's my daughter will find money, and she's always just like wondering, who lost it, and could it be the last $100 bill that they had until they get paid or something. So for us, we kind of feel bad. It's like,
money is energy. It will come back to that person and it'll be fine. And as long as the person's not standing there and you didn't ask them, I mean,
right. And it's not their wallet. You're not stealing their wallet. It's something that you see. I know what you say. It's on the side of the road, or it's where you parked, and it's like, who knows? It could come from anywhere. So
this one woman I know, she was at a park and she found, I think it was like $160.
Wow.
And she stood there waiting. She waited for a half hour to see if anybody was going to come back for it, and they didn't.
Yeah. Fair game. Good. Yeah. My husband found a wallet at that same hardware store that I talked about finding a dime. So like a year ago, found a wallet and had $300, and he went and turned it in to the store and said, I found this in the parking lot.
Yeah.
And, he didn't take the money, he gave it all there. And then about a month later, the hardware store called and said, we've tried to contact this guy, and it's been over a month. I think it was like 2 or 3 months, because my husband really forgot about it. And they're like, he never came back. It's been like 3 months. He could, live somewhere else now. Who knows? And I think it was an out of state person or whatever, but they did due diligence to find the guy and never found him. So they said, the money's yours, come get it. So we're like,
wow.
That's
so
awesome,
you have to be able to receive,
right?
So
exactly. Accept it.
But that's just awesome that they did that, because I think a lot of people would have been like, oh, well, they didn't come back, I'm just taking it.
Yeah. And the fact that they called Ryan, you can tell that they were honest, and like waited for someone to come back and claim it, or call, and they tried to contact them too. So part of everything is you have to be able to receive. Like if you're not receiving, you're just blocking everything too. So it goes hand in hand. Someone offers to buy you lunch, like say thank you and you'll get them next time. Like you're not doing anything wrong, like say thank you, so more abundance comes your way. And versus worrying that person's not going to get their money, or gonna be homeless or something. They'll be fine. It'll work out.
I had to work on that with the receiving, because, I'm a giver. So when we have a foot bath ionizer, and when there's people who will come to detox at the house, and they're always wanting us to pay us for it. And for a long time, we were just like, no, and now we're just like, well, if it makes you, we don't say this, but it's like, if it makes you feel better, just give us whatever you think it's worth.
Yeah, donation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So your last chapter is Who Am I?
Oh, yes. And it's just like my way of closing. So it's actually really short. So when I was recording my Audible, and I was having some voice issues from straining my voice doing the Audible. And when we were getting close, I was like, chapter 20 is really short. So if we can get to chapter 20. So really, it's just me owning where I've come so far on my journey, and that I'm a teacher, and that, it comes through me, because there's a lot in that, especially with the world of social media telling you have to practice, and you have to script, and you have to do this, and you have to do that, and you have to batch. And if that's not how you're wired from the universe, like you've got to be able to let that go. So that's, just a lot of it too, my writing style, just like letting things go and being like, this is me. And you know what? You like it or you don't, right? And I think that everyone is or has been, on that type of journey in their life where they're like, okay, who am I? So one of my friends, Dr. June, who I met last year, he and I were having just a catch-up call over Zoom, and it was his, we were talking about turning 50. And he said that he had gone on a retreat with this meditation guru on his 50th birthday, which was, a couple years prior, and they'd gone to Hawaii. And he said he sat for a whole day in Hawaii and meditated on who am I? So it just made me think. And I thought it was just kind of like a great way to just kind of closed the door on the book
Mhm.
as to where it is. And in terms of, the journey
Right.
of all the stories kind of put together. So, yeah.
So if people want to contact you, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, sure. So I am all over the internet except for like on any naughty sites like porn or the dark web. Like, so, but
I'm not there either.
good. Okay.
Me
Well,
either.
if you are, then that's you, right? So,
Right.
but yeah, the easiest way is my name is one of my websites. I have two websites because I have two podcasts. So melindavanfleet.com or goodkarmasuccesscoach.com. And I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm on Instagram, mostly all under my name, if I could do that. So, so I'm very accessible. YouTube, my podcasts are on YouTube, and I do a YouTube video every Tuesday with tips, more on like a professional, like business angle. And yeah, so I hope they tune in and connect with me. I would love that. My books are on Amazon. So another way to connect with me is through the books. And yeah, like I'm on Medium, all the things. Yeah. So
What's the name of your YouTube channel?
it's just my name, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it's just straight up Melinda Van Fleet. So yeah, I think Instagram's the only one where someone took my name and they don't even use it. It's like the craziest thing. It's like,
Oh,
you don't
no.
even use it. Can I have my name back? So I've got like a dash, but yeah, everywhere else it should be pretty simple.
Well, it's been
Wonderful.
good having you on. Thank you for
Yes.
coming with us and sharing about your new book.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. You both are super awesome. And I want to hear, like, if you go on Human Design and pull your charts, like send me an email so I can see what they are. And then if I have any like little insights from what I've learned, I'll give you your scoop. So, but it's
Awesome.
super fun. Yeah, thank you.
Sounds like
Thanks,
a plan.
everybody.
Thank you so much for being with us. Many blessings to everyone. Get out there and breathe and enjoy the wild.
And don't forget to keep on shining.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye.